In 2011, it was Infinity Ward's turn once again to release a Call of Duty game. This was a new team, with many members leaving during the fallout of the incident during Modern Warfare 2, and they would be supported by the debuting Sledgehammer games. So how would this duo cope? Would the story wrap up the trilogy in a fitting way? Would Spec Ops expand and grow like Zombies did? And how would they follow up on the best multiplayer Call of Duty had ever seen? We're prepared to jump into survival and finish the story, whilst grabbing some popcorn, as I show you why Modern Warfare 3 is secretly great. Modern Warfare 2 ended with us taking out Shepard, but there were still two unknowns. Where is Makarov? And will Soap be okay? We're thrown right into the action just minutes after the end of Modern Warfare 2, where Soap is receiving treatment. He's having flashbacks, giving us a really cool recap of the events that preceded us. The first mission is much the same as the prologue, throwing us right into the action on Wall Street as US soldier Frost, where the Russians are attacking the stock exchange. This hot start instantly conveys the scale of the war that's been built up over the last couple of games, and makes sense given world tensions have boiled over to start World War III. It's a great mission as opening missions go. Fighting through the stock exchange is a pretty epic set piece. And this mission is just short enough to where its action heavy nature doesn't begin to bore the player. Its placement is perfect to put us right back into the world and reminds us of that looming threat led by Makarov. In fact, this isn't the only time we're reminded of Makarov in the opening stages of the story. As on the mission Turbulence, where we must protect the Russian president, Call of Duty does something it's never done before. It makes the player fail the mission, as Makarov is able to overpower us and kidnap the president to use him as leverage. That scene of him coming out the helicopter is one of the more chilling parts of the series, as his sheer presence spells danger. Add to this the terror attacks that Makarov causes in the first act, and he's at his absolute scariest in Modern Warfare 3. With Task Force 141 back together, and now joined by the new main protagonist Yuri, it's over to Sierra Leone for the first true 1-for-1 mission of the game, and one of my favourites from Modern Warfare 3. I love the stealth early on, with the suppressed marksman rifles and pistols. It really takes me back to the first game. The setting is a really good choice here, as it feels like we're stepping into unknown territory, seeing 1-for-1 explore Sierra Leone. And we see some different tactics as the mission progresses. This mission begins the search for Makarov, and sets in motion the events of Act 2. Act 2 continues the hunt, as 1-for-1 heads to Somalia, another piece of unknown territory for 1-for-1, and another that spells danger. We find Makarov's arms dealer, but again, he only gives us crumbs of information to further progress the trail. Next up, and we're in Europe, as Delta Force, who had previously helped protect New York in the first mission, are now in Paris tracking down Volk, another arms dealer. These next two missions are chase and escort missions, and as intense as they sound. Paris once again provides for a great set piece, and you might be noticing a theme in that respect, as I really appreciate the different locations that MW3 has us go to, as it really freshens up the gameplay, whilst also showing us the scale of the ongoing war. Volk reveals a meeting of Makarov to a hotel in Prague. In a sniping finale akin to the end of All Gillied Up, we take position ready to take down Makarov, but all of a sudden, boom, we hit the floor. Makarov knew the plan all along, and as we try to get out, it's clear that Soap is badly wounded by the fall. We get back to the safe house, and it's now becoming more and more of a pressing issue that Soap is bleeding out. Price tries everything, but in a crushing end, Soap doesn't make it out. But in his final breath, he shocks us by saying this.
Makarov knows.
Yep, that's right. Makarov indeed knows Yuri. Price is overcome with emotions, and rightfully so. But he doesn't let Soap's passing affect him, as he instead turns his attention to Yuri, where the truth about this mysterious protagonist spills. He was with Makarov every step of the way. During the attempted assassination of Zakhaev, during the detonation of the bomb that killed 50,000 of Shepard's men, and even during No Russian, at which point Yuri decided enough was enough, and attempted to stop the attack. But he vows now that he's only on our side, and Price alone in this battle has no choice but to accept his word. And thus begins the final siege, culminating in storming Makarov's stronghold. We're filled with hate for Makarov from the whole trilogy, but the previous mission, getting Soap, a character who'd been with us with the whole journey, and who we thought would be with us to the very end. 1-for-1 decide it's time for all guns blazing, and with the president now safe, Makarov has nothing left and instead goes into hiding. We eventually track him down to a hotel in Dubai. Price and Yuri armour up in Juggernaut suits, and in a rare occasion for the series, we get to control Price. We take out some of the toughest of Makarov's men as we progress upwards to the roof of the hotel. As we close in on Makarov towards the roof, a chopper attacks us and Yuri is impaled by part of the building. With no time to waste, Price has to go alone, and he makes it to the roof. Makarov is getting away, but in a last-ditch effort, Price jumps for the helicopter and is able to crash it onto the roof. An epic ending. But Makarov has made it out, and is in a better condition than us. We crawl for the pistol, but to no avail. Right as Makarov is about to finish us off, Yuri runs in, distracts Makarov, and unfortunately takes a bullet for Price, who in the meantime is able to jump up, wrap a cord around his neck, and smash him through the hotel glass, ending Makarov and the series in an epic way. But as Price sits there, we think about all that's been sacrificed to get to this point, and we question, was it really worth it? Modern Warfare 3's campaign is a mixed bag for me. The story wraps up in a very fitting way, and is filled with a couple of twists and turns to keep it interesting, but the mission design is very bland, and there's little to innovate. Far too many times it plays it too safe, and doesn't expand into something more, which is why aside from the story, many of the missions are forgettable. That being said, the story is so strong that it still pulls through as an okay campaign, as wrapping up a trilogy can be difficult. That's why overall, I'd still give the Modern Warfare 3 campaign a 62 out of 100 score. The Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer is really the area of the game that I would say is underappreciated the most. A lot of it's been sadly forgotten in time, as the games before it, and a certain game that released after it, takes up much of people's memories. But I'm here to remind you that this experience was special in its own right. Let's start with the maps this time, as for me, it's a standout area of the game which I always see people forgetting. Now I will get this out of the way. I don't think any of the maps look particularly great, as they don't have that bright pop to them that the previous Modern Warfare game had, which is maybe why they merge into a collection for some people. But some gems for me include Mission, a map set in Sierra Leone, with a really good mix of gameplay, especially for objective modes. The tight areas that approach the B flag are always exciting to fight in with a shotgun or SMG, and the high ground on the other side of the map is perfect for assault rifles. Hard Hat is a map that maybe is remembered more due to its appearance in Modern Warfare 2019, but that version didn't do it justice at all. This map flows superbly in the original Modern Warfare 3, and always has really intense, fast-paced matches. The tunnel in the middle of the map is one of the most memorable spots in the game, as it can cause some downright ridiculous kill feeds to stack up. Seatown is a map I cannot believe hasn't been remastered. This is classic 3 lanes, with side lanes offering some flank routes and verticality, whilst the middle of the map is congested and centralises the gameplay. This is the map that I want to see remastered the most, as I feel a modern version could really bring out the map's aesthetic, which would make it instantly a star. But there's so many more great maps that fall into the same range as the ones I've mentioned. Arcaden, Underground, Village, Carbon, Bootleg and Fallen all fall into the 6 to 8 out of 10 range for me, and all offer something different to the experience in both theme and gameplay. There are a few maps that everyone seems to remember from Modern Warfare 3, most notably Dome and Resistance, which by the way are brilliant, but I can't seem to understand why a couple more don't come into the conversation as often. Modern Warfare 3 did come out with its duds in the map department, maybe more than the games before it. A map like Outpost has potential, but the poor visibility can make it frustrating. Interchange is a decent map gameplay wise, but the theming to me is extremely dull. Lockdown is a map I forgot was even in the game, and is again pretty average. And finally Downturn is up there with one of the worst maps in the entire series. But for a game that had a huge selection of 16 maps, 17 if you include Terminal, it baffles me that the majority of the Modern Warfare 3 maps are forgotten. The large majority of them epitomise what a Call of Duty map is. In fact, Modern Warfare 3 didn't just come with a large selection of maps, but the entire game is full to the brim with content. From stuff we expect, to new stuff which makes it unique. The weapon selection is huge, with more than 5 in every class. Fan favourites return like the ACR and UMP, but MW3 also introduced the MSR, the MP7 and the FMG9s, which had all become iconic for their own reasons. The weapon balance is good, way more balanced than Modern Warfare 2, with a few standouts and weak weapons of course, but it's a step in the right direction for a level playing field. The introduction of weapon levelling was fantastic, and it really set in motion the concept we've come to know over the last decade, as levels unlocked attachments, weapon proficiencies which were also new, and camos which continued to grow in numbers. The old Modern Warfare style class creation as a whole really peaked here, with so many options to choose from. Perks could once again be upgraded to pro perks, there were so many different choices in equipment, and strike packages were really the cherry on top. The ability to choose what style of kill streaks you wanted was game changing, and is still yet to return. Assault is the traditional option, giving you a powerful set of kill streaks if you manage to go on a kill streak of your own, and were designed to be the most powerful. Support streaks didn't reset after respawn, allowing them to be gained much easier, but weren't as powerful, and were more of a supportive role as the name suggests. And finally, my favourite, the specialist streaks would give you an additional perk the more kills you chained up, until finally you reach the specialist bonus, giving you every single pro perk in the game, making you a super soldier who could take on anyone. The amount of options you have is crazy. This is the game where I spend the longest choosing what combination of things I want to make the best class possible. But again, there's even more content. How about progression? Well, how about 80 levels and 20 levels of prestige? The icons are once again detailed and memorable, and this time there was a prestige shop where things could be permanently unlocked, or additional bonus items like double XP tokens could be claimed. Add to that the weapon levelling that I mentioned previously, and you have a game where there's always something to do. Finally, I want to talk about the game modes. No, I'm not going to talk about the typical TDM or domination, but instead what this game introduced. Kill Confirm made its debut, and has since become a staple of the franchise, innovating TDM into something a bit more objective and fast paced. Face Off was a fun idea, where players could 1v1, 2v2 or 3v3 online on smaller maps rather than go into a custom game. But the one that stuck with me the most, and the one that I've played the most, is easily Infected. I mean, I don't even know where to start with this incredible game mode. It's just so damn fun. Infected is very similar to Infection from Halo, where one player starts off infected and must get every player from the other team to join them, but there's just something special about how it works in Call of Duty. The goal at the start is just to see how long you can stay around, but eventually you might start getting some kills, and that's where the fun begins. All of a sudden you realise you might be on a 20 kill streak, and a few kills later and you've earned the Moab. Each game is short and chaotic, with 18 players, and time honestly flies by as you go from game to game. The maps don't have to be traditionally good to work either for this mode, as it just depends on whether there's good spots to hold down. In fact, when I think of Infected, I tend to call back to those intense battles over areas where everyone's holding down, such as this corner in Village, the high ground on Outpost, or my favourite, the Burger Town in Arcaden. The game modes cap off an all-round brilliant experience for Modern Warfare 3. Content is plentiful, and no matter where you look, there's always fun to be had. Overall, I rate it a solid 78 out of 100 score. Spec Ops was Infinity Ward's answer to a third mode in 2009, and it was a fun mode, but it left a little bit to be desired. This is only compounded by the excellent Zombies mode in BO1, so the expectation was high for Modern Warfare 3. And while despite Spec Ops still not reaching the same level as Zombies, this version is by far the best of its kind. The classic missions return, and are essentially the same system as Modern Warfare 2, with the main goal being to collect all the stars, but there is an increase in mission variety. Mile Hijack is a throwback to Mile High Club from the original Modern Warfare, and it runs at the exact same intensity. Toxic Paradise lets you run around in a Juggernaut suit and cause absolute chaos, and is as fun as it sounds by the description. But finally, by far the most innovative and best Spec Ops mission from Modern Warfare 3, Hostage Taker. Set during the mission where Makarov takes the president, you are tasked with saving the president's family before Makarov can get to them. But the level allows you to go 100% stealth. This to me is what Spec Ops is all about. A variation on a mission we already knew from the campaign that is able to build on the story? Check. A fun and short mission that is both difficult and replayable? Check. And finally, something innovative that expands what a third mode in Call of Duty is? Check. The stealth in this mission is so enjoyable. Having to stay hidden from the guards, using cars and foliage as cover, whilst always being wary of the chopper flying over you. It's just superb. This alone would be good, and it would make this iteration of Spec Ops a step up from MW2. But the developers had another ace up their sleeve: Chaos Mode and Survival Mode. Chaos Mode was the most arcadey and casual thing this game had to offer, with a non-stop rush of action, with the primary goal to chain up as many points as possible. It really is a callback to old school arcade games, where fun is the only thing in mind, and everything else can take a step back. Survival mode, on the other hand, was the answer to zombies. Yeah, the rest of Spec Ops was a good alternative for zombies, but this was for players who love that round-based gameplay loop. You're deployed in a multiplayer map of your choice, with each one offering different enemies and difficulty. Progression further makes it obviously harder, but it also allows you to expand your weaponry as you buy new guns and bling them out with attachments. And when you really start balling, you can afford kill streaks, including everyone's favourite Delta Squad, who's a group of soldiers that can help you out. It's really immersive being able to build your own little army to fight off the attack, but be warned, as these guys are no match for the later waves. Trying to beat your high score and progress up the leaderboard is the main replay value, as well as levelling up to our new weapons and equipment. But as good and as fun as the mode is, it can be quite limited in nature, due to it not having a story or long-term goal like an Easter egg to attach itself like in zombies. That's why, as much as I love survival, and some of the traditional Spec Ops missions, I have to admit that it doesn't hold a candle to Treyarch Zombies. But Infinity Ward were in the right direction with this one, and it's a shame that we never got to see this version of Spec Ops be expanded into something truly incredible. But overall, I'd still give MW3 Spec Ops a 70 out of 100 score. I said in the intro how fans of this series tend to forget parts of Modern Warfare 3, but I hope by showing you all the things that make up this great game, I've been able to remind some of you that maybe it isn't as far behind in the games of its time as we may have initially thought. The campaign can feel a little mundane at times, with the same old style of missions, but the new locations and the willingness we all had to see the end of this great storyline pulled it through. The multiplayer might not have the same level of maps as Modern Warfare 2, but it has so much good content in the other areas that it makes up for it. And finally, while Spec Ops couldn't reach the quality and popularity of zombies, it still served as a great experimental third mode, where you could tell the developers had fun, and survival is still a great option even in 2024. It's for these reasons why I give Modern Warfare 3 an overall score of 75 out of 100. If you haven't played Modern Warfare 3 in a while, I really do encourage you to go back to it. With the hindsight of where the series has gone, it really does hold up in the upper echelon. I hope you've enjoyed this retrospective and review. Please let me know your thoughts on Modern Warfare 3 in the comments. And hey, maybe leave a like if you want to help get the series rolling. Next up is, spoiler alert, my favourite Call of Duty game, so stick around if you want to see that. But I've been Ranger, and this has been why Modern Warfare 3 is secretly great.